Today's podcast is presented by Podgo. Podgo is the easiest way for you to monetize your podcast, providing podcasters with a flat rate for ad space so you always know how much you get when you include an ad from Podgo. I recently joined as a member, and you can too. Apply today to become a member and immediately be connected with the advertisers that fit your audience. That's podgo.co at podgo.co.
And please put unprofessional development in the "How did you hear about Podgo?" That will give us a little finder's fee. Thank you. Hello, unprofessionals. So as you know, now we're doing real commercials, not just the silly ones that we normally do. So today I've got with me my daughter Micah. Say hello, Micah.
Hi.
She has an Etsy account. It's called what?
Roo Makes Bracelets.
Roo Makes Bracelets, okay? We'll put a link in the show notes for you for sure. So she makes some friendship bracelets. She even has one that is kind of an unprofessional bracelet, where she's made the unpro letters in the bracelet. So if you need a bracelet, go to Roo's Bracelets. Anything else you want to say about your bracelets?
No.
Okay. Well, she's a little kid. She's 11 years old. She's entrepreneuring. You know, support her. And go to Roo's Bracelets. Click the link in the show notes. Thank you. Say goodbye, Micah.
Bye.
Unprofessionals, we need your help. Mealey and I keep trying to explain to the world how special we are, but they won't believe us. Here's what you can do. Check in the show notes for the link to the People's Podcast Awards. And please nominate us so the rest of the world can realize exactly how amazing we are. Enjoy! Welcome, unprofessionals, to another exciting episode of Unprofessional Development. I'm Tudisco.
And I'm Mealey. And today we've got with us Mr. Paulk. Okay? So we've been doing a lot of teachers that I know from the Twitter or from other places. And now we decided to actually bring one that I actually knew before I was a podcaster. And Tudisco knew before he was a podcaster.
Back when we were mortal men.
Yes. Yeah.
Normal humans, like the rest of you.
Yes.
You were up on the pedestal.
It's tough.
It is. I know. It's hard being
like the
famous.
Great philosopher Randy Newman said. It's lonely at the top.
Is that who said Randy Newman?
How you doing, Paulk?
Okay.
I'm doing well, man.
I thought he said you've got a friend in me, Tudisco. Isn't that what he said?
Yeah, he did.
He also definitely sang a song about little people, but I wasn't paying attention to the lyrics.
He did.
We're not going to talk about teaching today. Just Randy Newman. We're going to go for 45 minutes.
Oh.
I'm Randy Newman.
Okay, I love L.A.
And you don't like it. All right, so
basically he wants to be what's his name? He wanted to be Jimmy Buffett but couldn't quite pull it off. Is that am I wrong?
That's the saddest sentence I've heard in a very long time.
But I'm not. But I'm kind of close. Like he would love the following that Jimmy Buffett has, and they basically are not too far off from being the same person in terms of personality and songwriting style.
I mean, I would love to have the following that Jimmy Buffett has, too. I just don't want to be anything like Jimmy Buffett.
Okay. Oh, we just lost half our Jimmy Buffett audience.
Poor Jimmy Buffett.
So, all right, Paul.
Jimmy Buffett during the summer.
Yes. Yeah, that's when you got to unleash your inner Buffett.
Yeah, it's like if you're not wearing white, like after Labor Day, Jimmy Buffett also, you cannot listen to him either, I think is pretty much the case.
Well, what if I am searching for my lost shaker of salt?
Yes.
All right, Paul, so give all the loving people at home a rundown of, so what do you teach and how did you get here? How did you go from being a student to a teacher? What kind of student were you? What brought you into the classroom and how are you liking it so far?
That's a lot of stuff in one question.
You have 30 seconds, go.
So I teach high school math. I'm entering into my 13th year of teaching.
Lucky.
I taught Algebra 1 mostly, and then it turned into Math 1. I taught that for like 11 and a half years straight. And then I've taught discrete math, taught pre-calc, Math 3, Algebra 2, then Math 2, and I think I did, what's the one I just taught? I forgot.
I don't know. So basically all the maths except for calculus and stats.
Yeah. I haven't done stat. I don't like stat as much for some reason.
Neither do any of the students.
I love using stats and I like doing it, but for some reason it's not my forte.
Yeah.
I've avoided it.
So what got you into the classroom? Like was teaching your first choice, or did you kind of like accidentally stumble in, or?
So I tell my students this story every year. I remember sitting in Miss Duffner's English class, my sophomore year of high school.
Duffner. That's such a high school teacher name.
She was a great lady. I had a lot of fun. I hated, I was not an English person. I hated writing papers. I actually majored in math in college because I wanted to take the least amount of writing possible. It was a bad choice because I had to write a lot of papers for my math classes.
Oh.
But I was sitting in her class and I was explaining something. She's like, "You'd be a great teacher." I was like, "Miss Duffner, I will never, ever, 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 ever be a teacher. Ever. Never, ever will I be a teacher." And I was like, "So this is my 12th year teaching."
Well, it kind of makes sense to me because, like, knowing you, I'm guessing you're the kind of person where in high school you had friends.
Yeah, I had friends. I had
that
lots
sounds
of friends,
cool.
actually. I was one of those weird people. Like, I didn't have a clique that I hung out with, like, every clique. I was a jock dating a gothic girl at one point in time. I had, like, to wear jeans and a white, like, undershirt and aviators group. I don't know. We did a little bit of everything. I had a little bit of every type.
That's a group. The jeans,
It
white
was,
t-shirt.
apparently. There was, like, 5 or 6 of us,
yes.
and that's what we wore every day for, like, 2 months. I don't know.
Wow.
We bought, like, a 5-pack of T-shirts or something.
And all had matching aviator sunglasses that you wore.
Yeah, like I said, it was weird. Like, I was friends with her. I was definitely not the cool kid. I hung out with the cool kids, but I was not them.
Right.
I was just the guy everybody knew.
Right. Right.
But so I went to college. I majored in math. I was people call me an efficiency guy. I'm going to find the easiest way to do something. So if I have to work a little harder to figure it out at first, I'll do that so I don't have to work hard later.
Right.
I made it all the way through college and I bought 5 books.
Nice.
The time I was there, because I would get into a class, I'd buy the book, but they gave you like that 2-week window to return it. And I would look around the room and I go, "He's going to need tutoring. And there's my book." And so that's what I did. I went and found people that tutored.
Nice.
And my current wife, she majored in math as well. And so I used all of her books for all the math classes. And then, but I was doing supplemental instruction for income there because I played baseball, and I didn't really have time to have a job outside of that. So I could do supplemental instruction, and basically you just sat in on an extra math class and then taught the class again at night.
That's cool.
Oh.
Yeah, and so that's where I kind of found out that I actually could teach. But I was like, that was just a job. Like, I was just doing that to make a little extra coin on the side while I was playing baseball. And then I finished playing baseball, went and played for like a little independent league team in Georgia.
Uh-huh.
And one of the baseball players there asked me what I did during the summer. And I was like, "I do construction." It's like, or like during the off season. Off season is during school time for baseball.
Yeah.
And he's like, "What do you do during that time?" I was like, "I do construction." He's like, "You should think about like being a substitute teacher or something." I was like, "Substitute teaching?" He did not strike me as a substitute teacher at all. He's like, "Dude, I love it. It's the best." And I was like, "What do you teach?" He's like, "Whatever they need." I was like, "I was a PE teacher one day, a history teacher the next day." I was like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, it's great." And so I was like, "Well, I don't know." And so I went back to doing construction, and the guy told me, he's like, "You've been here for like 5 years. I pay you more than I've ever paid like a helper. And you have way more education than anybody else here. Like, you're the only guy that's a college educated guy." And he's like, "I need you to make a decision. Are you going to get like a truck and like start your own little branch of this company? Or are you going to move on?" And I was like, "All right, let me think about it." That was a big decision. I wasn't ready.
How old were you at that point?
Like 22.
It's a big decision.
21. I was like, yeah, basically it was a big decision. I was like, I'm not really ready for that. And so I went home, And then the next day I was doing heating and air conditioning. We were working for an HVAC company. Mm-hmm. And I was up in an attic. It was like 125 degrees in this attic. And I was taking this insulation and wrapping it around this duct, and this tape that I was using fell on the floor. I was like, I can reach it. And when I let go, the insulation fell on me.
Good stuff.
Sweaty, and it's just the fiberglass got all over my body. Yeah. It was so itchy the whole rest of the day. I was like, that's it! I quit! Yes. I'm out. And the next day, I called a school, and they needed a teacher, and I lateral entered in.
Nice. So, I was going to say, I've worked with the fiberglass. I think we've had this conversation before. Yeah. I worked with the fiberglass before, and it is the nastiest. It just feels like you're being bit all the time, and the in that attic there. And I've been on roofs and stuff like that. This is really a good time when you're sweating so much that your eyes are basically filled with salt water, and you can't even open your eyes because the sweat is just like stinging your eyes.
I'd have to bring 4 shirts to work because they'd be all soaked.
Yeah. And those attics, there's like no air circulating at all. You are just like, it's just, I can't stand an attic. Yeah.
That's how I used to work out. That was my off-season workout. I'll be a construction guy. Like, you need anything moved or loaded, I got you. So I put my workout in. They thought I was stupid because they're all like one board in it everywhere. And I was taking like stacks of them. I was like, this is how I get my training in.
But honestly though, when you're working in the crawl spaces and the attics, I mostly did commercial construction, but I've worked in the rafters of churches before where you're like going up and around in those.
Oh yeah.
And it works your core like nobody's business.
Yeah, I did the light commercial. They had a major commercial. It was Southern Piping Company in Wilson.
Okay.
They were a great company. I loved them, but that wasn't for me.
Yeah. So So you alluded to the baseball career, and we'll let you brag for just a minute. What's the fastest fastball you ever got clocked throwing?
Oh, it touched 90. I didn't throw hard. I threw a lot of junk.
Okay, but you've thrown it 90 miles an hour before.
I've touched 90 like once or twice. I've probably thrown harder than that, but it was never. They didn't gun me. Which is
at least twice as fast. I'm thinking, if not 3 times as fast as Tudisco has ever probably thrown a baseball.
I probably couldn't pick a baseball out of a lineup, so yeah.
So, but you did not make it to the majors.
No, I didn't. I played independent ball down in Macon, Georgia, which was my hometown growing up. So I got lucky with that.
So this is a step below AAA? Or
so it kind of goes like there's low A, high A, double A, triple A majors. And then independent ball is not really technically affiliated. They use that as like a picking ground to fill some major league teams.
Okay.
Like the guy I was talking to that played, that substitute taught, he played for the Myrtle Beach Pelicans, which is a double A Braves team.
Okay.
They fill the team, like if somebody gets injured, they'll send them down there and then they'll pick them back up.
Okay. So you never played with anyone that made it to the majors at all, or did you?
Actually, I played with several people that made it. One of my friends, Matt Harrison, played for the Texas Rangers.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
He got drafted out of high school.
Okay.
And then I'm really bad with names. The guy
That's fine.
Remember the Myrtle Beach. The guy
That's fine. I'm guessing. No offense to the baseball fans out there, of which there's less every day, but I'm guessing like I couldn't name one current baseball player now, so you could just tell me names of your former students, and I would go, oh yeah, I bet he was good.
Well, I remember the one guy for the Myrtle Beach Pelicans, because he was kind of like my mentor guy on the team. His name was Ralph Roberts. He was a great dude, and I just remember him because he made such a big impact on me becoming a teacher.
There you go. Mm-hmm. So, other than that, how did sports?
Quick question.
Nope. Go ahead, Tudisco.
All right. So,
as long as it's quick.
I'm an English guy, right?
That's true.
I took one math class in college. It was called Math for the Liberal Arts.
Mm-hmm.
It was the lowest level one that they had. On our final, we had to graph lines.
I know where you're going.
Essays?
Yes.
Essays in math class?
Yes. Oh, they are the worst.
How?
I had a 5-page paper for Calculus 2, like maybe 2 5-page papers or 10-page paper for Calculus 2.
About what?
Dude, I did one class. Well, one of the projects, I don't remember which class, I think it was Transitions to Algebra was the name of the class. But you had to prove why 2 plus 2 equaled 4 using group theory and things like that. It took me 5 pages of paper to
write
proofs?
that out. Because I've done proofs.
No,
I can get that.
I want to say it was the Transitions to Algebra. I get them all mixed up now. I don't think I used numbers for like 2 months.
Yeah, but it's more than but I was gonna say it's more than proofs because it's things you would do to show conceptual understanding. Basically, is the way it would translate to anyone else. It's just
I had a 46-page paper on public key crypto systems using elliptic curves as my.
Oh, I didn't get that far. Oh God, I dipped into math major for a while.
I don't know.
And then I jumped out of math major and back into math education because it was too much for me. I'm good at math, but everybody has their wall, and I hit mine, and I was like, okay, this is but
math's so well where I forget how deep it is.
Yeah,
like I remember I was talking to one guy. I was like, I was pretty good at math. Like I was.
Yeah,
I liked math a lot. Like I was good at it. And he's like, oh wow, did you ever work with non-Euclidean?
Yeah,
I'm like
that. And honestly, if you really want to go deep into it, being good at math is like saying I'm good at foreign languages and going, oh, well, yeah, you speak Spanish and French, but there's like all these other languages that only like these 50 people are studying.
That's all it is. It's another language.
It is. And so they find these ways of doing these things.
Of the universe.
Right.
It is universal language.
It is. It is.
I try to tell my students, they don't like it. I'll just take French where they come in.
What I was going to say is, so how does your sports mindset, your sports habits, and all of that, how do you bring that into the classroom? And does that become part of your teaching style and things that you learned as an athlete and all that? Do you use that in the classroom?
Well, I was a pitcher. And
not a bellyager.
Not a bellyager. No,
okay.
Definitely not. Well, I probably was that too. So, but as a pitcher, like you had to really pay attention to how other people did stuff. So you'd watch other pitchers of how they do their mechanics and things like that. You'd have to watch yourself and reflect on what you're doing. Like it was a lot of making sure you're repeating the same things that you need to do, which is a math concept. Just teach them a concept and then let them repeat it over and over and over again.
Right.
But you also have to like look at how other people do it, or just from the other aspect, when you're looking at a hitter, how he hits and things like that. So you're doing a lot of analysis of stuff. And so it helps me look at a student, focus on what are they doing? Where might they mess it up? So it's helped me analytically with the students, but just networking and learning, you learn about other people too. Just in sports, you're always in a group. So you learn how to communicate. I do a lot of sports analogies because most of the kids play basketball or soccer where I teach. What actually got me my job interview, I guess they told me that was one of the reasons they hired me in my first school was because I did a football analogy for how to get to add rational expressions together.
Okay.
Like teaching them how to build their football uniform or something the bottom. And it's helped me see things from different viewpoints, I think.
Okay.
What do you say? Because we all have this kid, the kid who says, like, I don't really need to work because I'm just going to make it to the NBA or the NFL. What do you say to that kid?
Well, first I figure out do you play for the high school team? And most of the time that is a no. I'm like, well, if you don't play for the high school team, you're probably not going to go. Just going to let you know that right away. It's not an unheard of thing. Like it has happened before, I think. Yeah, but it's the most rare.
Yeah.
Thing right out of the gate.
If you don't have enough discipline
I'm really good at NBA 2K. That's just, you got the pipeline right there, my friend.
Yes.
Just focus hard on that.
Yes, right. Yes. In fact, I'm writing you a pass right now to go play NBA 2K in the library. You're wasting your time in my class.
I mean, you're already playing it on your phone anyway.
Yeah. But whenever that comes up, I'm like, you definitely want to have a backup plan for that because it just takes one injury, tiny injury, and it it could stumble your career forever.
Right.
That's basically what happened in my senior year. I pulled my groin muscle in the beginning of the season. In the first half of the season, I was just recovering. I was still playing, but like I was like 80%.
Yeah.
And because of that, like I lost a lot of momentum going into the senior year, my college year. And so it just one tiny thing could throw you off.
Yeah.
A woman could throw you off. That was the other downfall to my when you skip out on practices to be with your woman.
Yep. Just watch The Natural. That's what happened. They might shoot you.
Yeah. So that's a good
Have you
movie.
seen that? Have you seen that one, Tudisco? Have you never seen The Natural?
No.
Oh, it's really
that's what
good.
it's like, though.
That's a great movie. I would highly recommend it. And if you really want to go for a deep dive, look up the episode of Gary Shandling's show where he did a parody of The Natural, only he was playing ping pong. It was hysterical. He had a ping pong pal formed out of a tree that was struck by lightning as opposed to a baseball bat. And
that sentence sounds like a long Mad Lib.
The Simpsons did a natural thing with
did they?
Tree outside got struck by lightning.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and you can play baseball.
That's
you've got okay.
Yeah.
All right. I smell what you're stepping in. All right.
The Gary Shandling one, Paulk, this would be funny for like 3 people. He, he's playing ping pong, right? He's in a really intense match, and he hits the ball up, and it hits a fluorescent light bulb in the auditorium. And it just starts like barely sparking just like a little bit.
That's awesome. I'll have to watch this. I'm gonna YouTube this.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. Yes. All right.
I don't even know what we were talking about now.
No, we were talking about baseball and golf and how you put that into your classroom. You answered fine. So high marks for you.
I
So
have no idea. I was like, I got lost in the combo now.
That's good. That'll happen.
That's where we live.
Yes, that's the goal.
All right. So, Paul, can you share something with us that something that's maybe not recently, but that's worked recently, like a strategy that you use, an analogy that you use, a lesson that you like to use, like something that you find really tends to work in your class?
Well, my favorite lesson to do with the students now, because I'm finding it harder and harder and harder to do just for the time crunch for math, to do more project-y things, or like just outside things. So I got 2, if you don't mind.
That's fine.
I'll allow it.
The first lesson that I love teaching, it's one of my favorite lessons to teach, and I've been able to teach it in all 3 math levels. So math 1, math 2, math 3. It deals with exponential functions, and I always do the lottery question. This is like my intro into the class. And so I'm just doing basic exponential functions with them. Like, what would you guys do? And I just throw out, like, you won $5 million in the lottery. And so I throw that question out the day before I'm going to go over. I say, go home and just research. I want you to get real specific. What cars you're going to buy, what house you're going to buy. Like, I want to know all the numbers. Come down. You got $5 million. Do what you're going to do. And most of the time, the kids will come back and they spent all $5 million and they have no money left over and they have all these items. Mm-hmm. I said, you just joined the 98% of the people in the world that are bankrupt after they win the lottery.
There you go.
You forget you have to pay taxes on all of these things. Not to mention, you had to pay taxes on the $5 million.
Yes.
And so it's like, now you have to pay all your items go back, basically, because you don't have money to pay the taxes on it. And they're like, what would you do, Mr. Paulk? What would you do? I was like, well, first of all, I tell nobody that I won $5 million.
That's the truth.
Right away. That's the end of the story. I wait till like the next to last day to cash it in.
Yeah.
Because they're like, you still haven't cashed it in. And then I cash it in, and I don't tell nobody. I don't tell family.
Yeah. Have you seen those people that wear a mask to the lottery? Because they like, wear a mask. Yeah.
I don't need anybody knowing that I won the lottery, first off.
Okay. Except Tudisco and Mealey.
Yeah.
You're going to buy them some new podcast equipment.
And then I go, all right, so I'll break it down. It's like you have to give back, I think it's 40% to the government. Yeah. That's your taxes on it. That's the education, quote unquote, part that they get. And then I give 10% to God. So I'm not saying I throw 10% to the church,
right?
My church, because you got to spread the love. It's just charity money.
Right.
You give 10% to charity. And then I say, well, I got family too. So it depends on how much I won. But I think the last time I did, I told them we get like $10 million. And I go through and I wipe out all of my close family. Like if I've talked to you in the last like 5 months, you're going to go debt free. And then we're all going to go on this huge vacation after Corona.
Right.
All my lessons were before Corona.
Right.
So,
BC.
we're all going to go like the most bomb, like 2-week vacation. I don't know. It'll be the greatest vacation of all time. We'll talk about it for life. And then I figure after all that, I'm pretty much down to about 46% of the money. So 40%, give or take. And I still work for an entire year, but I invest my money. And then we start talking about percentages and investing. And I was like, a really, really low rate of return for you to get and people still consider it good is like 8%. If you're making 8%, you're doing pretty well. Let's invest what money we have. So let's say if we won $10 million, we got $4 million. You put that in the bank and you get 8% of that. And so I think that comes out to like $320,000. I'm doing math off my head.
Right.
Now, so I'm not even, you can fact check it later.
Yes.
But,
Google it, kids. Google it.
yeah. So at 8% with $4 million, $320,000. I said, I just made $320,000 off of that money I put in invested. I make $55,000 a year teaching. I made that $55,000, okay? And I just made $320,000. And as long as I make 8%, I make $320,000 for the rest of my life.
Yes.
Now I quit my job. Now that I'm making $320,000 a year, I'm also debt free because I paid off all my stuff. My family's debt free, and I told them don't ever come to me for money again. So I paid off all your stuff. I was like, everybody gets, we're good, and I make $320,000, and I have no debt.
Yes.
So I was like, this is why people say it takes money to make money, etc. And I was like, you do the math. I've taught 90 kids a semester, 2 semesters a year for 12 years. Okay? That's a lot of kids.
Yes.
It's like a 1 in 5 million chance you're going to win the lottery. Eventually, I'm going to teach long enough that somebody I've taught's won the lottery.
Nice.
Well,
They're going to remember you.
Yeah, just include me in your friends and family part.
Yes. Just knock the debt out. Right. You don't need the.
Knock that out. That's all I need. I'm
Right.
playing the odds just as much as y'all are.
Right.
Okay.
Nice.
And so kids love it. And then
I love that.
my exponentials unit is a great success after that for a while. Then they're like, we're done with this. Now you're getting into the math. I don't care.
Wait, there are numbers involved in this?
Yeah.
Stupid.
Yes. Oh.
But for that one 30 minutes, you get the big eyes, and they're like hanging on your words, like, no way, like seriously? And I'm like, yeah, seriously.
Yeah. Yeah. If you can make it real world and you can kind of explain to them how things work, because they're really curious about the real world
And road rules.
and road rules. Yes. And the crate race. Shut up.
The next one that I had,
Yes, and Jersey Shore. They're really curious about that. No, I was gonna say, no, they really do. When you get off into tangents like, well, how does this work? And how did you get a blah blah blah? Like they really do want to know real world things like mortgages and stuff like that.
and I wish they're supposed to be bringing a class back that's more like that now.
Yeah,
That they're requiring the kids to take.
yeah. I know different states are doing them, and without getting too deep into our current curriculum, but they released the Math 4 curriculum for North Carolina, and there's a lot of good stuff. I know you say you didn't like stats. There's a lot of good stuff in there that's applicable stats, and some of it has to deal with real world stuff. Problems on like why not to play the lottery and why the lottery is basically, as I stole this from someone else though, but I call the lottery an idiot tax.
Yeah.
If you're stupid enough to play it, then they'll tax you that way.
Yep. It's just another way to get your money.
Yes. Yeah. So what was your other lesson? Did you want to share the other one as well?
Yeah. So the school that we're in, they have this enrichment period. The kids can choose a class. They have this online flex manager. It's called Flex Time.
Mm-hmm.
And they get 3 20-minute or 30-minute periods, and they can choose whatever they want.
It would be cool if it was 420, but anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. I did that in one of my videos, by the way, on the day of 420. I was like, it's time to wake and bake some cinnamon rolls.
Nice.
And the principal, because he was checking our canvases, he's like, I really liked your video today.
Oh.
That's the only one commented on the whole year. Like,
And see, Paulk, we never did this. Me and another colleague of ours, Schmutz, we were going to at one point make a quiz where all the answers were 420 and 69, just to see if the kids like.
I have done the 69 one. I did the 69.
Did you?
Every number ended in 69. It might not have been just 69.
Oh
but
my
it
God!
all had 69 in there somewhere.
Oh my God!
I had an earth science teacher by 10th grade. She did a 20-question quiz where the answer to every question was C, except for question 20, which was D.
Yeah.
Wow! And you're all second-guessing yourself.
It was Scantron. So everybody's looking at their Scantron like, sweating.
Yes. Yeah. Did they really do it?
That last one, they're like, oh. I've done that one before, too. Every answer was B.
Yes.
The last one was C.
Yes. C. And then you have to make, like, B really... Did you make B really stupid so they knew it wasn't B? Or did you just
like
make it
what color was George
plausible?
Washington's white horse? And they're like, ah.
I've done one where it did the Christmas tree down it, too.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I did one where it spelled, like, cab and then bab. And, like, I made it spell stuff.
Oh, wow. That's
Bad.
good stuff.
Like, I like messing with kids on that.
Anyway, you had a lesson.
Yeah.
So I've always loved the quadratic lesson because that's probably like one of the most applicable to all the sports because anything with a ball goes up and comes back down. And so we were building a trebuchet this year at my school during that flex time that I was talking about. And then we got shut down on the last day of the project. And I was like, no.
Oh.
So I was like, I'm going to bring it home. I'm going to go back and get it. We're going to build it. But
And for those who are not familiar, what is a trebuchet, Paulk?
Trebuchet is a medieval era. It's like a catapult. It's got a sling arm, but it's done with a counterweight. And it was like the most powerful form of that.
Okay.
And it's pretty cool. You can look it up. There's one they built out in Texas somewhere that slings cars.
Wow.
So,
Awesome.
they're pretty powerful. And so this was going to be a miniature one, but then they have a pumpkin chunking contest in the town down the road that they just started 2 years ago.
Wow.
And we were going to build a bigger version of it after we did it, and like we would teach them how to model. And
that's how you know you live out in the country when there's a pumpkin chucking contest. Okay. Yeah.
I'm excited about it. So I was going, man, we want to build a full size, like 12-foot high.
Oh. Like, I would like to see.
At our previous school,
yes.
I got to bring a potato gun. I cleared it with our security officer. I brought a potato gun to school. We launched potatoes. We brought rockets, but that was very unsuccessful.
Can we try and hit one of the pumpkins with the potato gun? That would be impressive.
That would be cool. That would be cool. I didn't try that one.
We can make some kind of vegetable salad.
Is this when I can point out that there are starving kids in Africa?
I tried to shoot them potatoes, man.
Yes, that's our
goal.
To
launch it right across the Atlantic.
We're ending hunger now. We're chucking.
The rockets we launched might be landing over there sometime soon.
There we go.
The first one blew up instantly. Never made it off the launch pad. It just blew up. The second one, the rocket shot through the actual engine, shot through the rocket and went up into the air. I was like, great. You guys are great contractors because each class built their own rocket.
Yeah.
And then the third one, I was like, all right, I'm going to tape this thing up and glue it down and like secure it up. Shot up in the air and we never saw it again.
Wow.
We judged the wind and everything and it never came down. Like we had kids. I was like, let's stand in a circle. And everybody looked for the rocket because it could come down anywhere. Like we don't know, and nobody saw it come down.
We did a couple model rockets. Everyone in the 6th grade class when I was coming up made a model rocket. We all had our own rocket, and we went out one day and we all launched them, and they were all decent. And then over the summer, there was like this little summer school, but not really. It was like more like a camp. It was by the school. And so they had a rocketry class. And so I signed up for that. And the cool thing was we built double stage rockets. Oh. So they would go up and then there was another burst when they were up there. It was really cool. What most remember about that was someone's didn't attach their wing good, right? So it goes up and it hits the ground literally like 15 feet. It just goes zoom, back in the ground. And then the other stage hit. It basically buried itself. Another foot in the ground. Oh, it was good.
Dance, kids, dance.
Have we done your second lesson yet? Was rocketry the second lesson, or did we?
Yeah. That was
okay.
But the kids talked about that, and then it was fun. Like, it was something that the kids actually bonded over too, and you build that class community.
Yes.
There, and I don't know. I've always been big. I know, Mealey, you have, and Tudisco, yeah. So y'all are big on that community within the classroom,
right? And when you can do something fun that's doesn't feel like school, you know what I mean?
That's exactly it. If you can just make it not feel like a boring, like just come in and sit down lesson,
right?
Kids actually will pay attention.
Yeah, because they're curious and they want to learn. They just don't want to sit in a desk with a book and have you make them write stuff down. Like that's not what they want to do. They want like, oh, I want to actually like figure something out. That's interesting. Yes.
I just hate the model that we have for education right now. I feel like it just holds it back.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so we'll see. Yeah. We're changing the world one step at a time. By the way, speaking of stuff like that, I want to give her a shout out again. Our girl Bathsheba, she has a podcast she was on here called Overthrowing Education. And if you ever want to like learn like what's the differentest school could actually be, listen to some of her podcasts and just stuff with no grades and stuff with that's more exploration and all that kind of stuff where people are really learning. And that's the goal of school, is to learn. But then we put all these boxes around defining what learning looks like so that we can prove that they learned. You know what I mean? How do we know that they learned? Well, because they learned. But no, we need some kind of measuring instrument. So, here's what we're going to do. It's like, really? When you went to the concert, did you measure that you had a good time? No, you had a good time, you don't need to measure everything, We can learn in all different sorts of ways, you know what I mean? And you can have a discussion about, oh, what do you think about they chose to do this and they chose to do that at the concert, but we don't have to like measure it, so to speak.
This is a nice transition from our last conversation. So, okay, Paulk, we're going to give you magical powers. All right. We are going to let you add and or subtract one thing from the entire educational universe, the Eduverse. So, if you could wave a magic wand and either add or subtract one thing from schools everywhere, what do you think it would be? It's a lot of authority.
It is a lot of authority.
It's not as much pressure as opening up a construction company at 22, but...
Yeah, I don't know. I feel the same pressure right now. Can I go home and sleep on it?
Nope.
And come back with a different career?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know. I've tried. I got asked this question once by a very high-ranking person and a CEO in a company who had connections.
Was it Obama?
No, not that high. But he had connections to like the superintendent of schools for North Carolina and things like that. And he's like, what would you change? Like, I could probably get you to sit down with this person. And this was like my 5th year of teaching. So I was like, I don't even know. Like, I know what I don't like, but that doesn't mean that's the good thing to know.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I would like to take away the pressure of the grading, like we were talking about. There's something about you're forcing to grade a kid before he's ready sometimes. Mm-hmm. I know there's got to be like a point where you maybe like figure out how much they did learn.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I'm one of those believers. I don't care when you learn it, as long as you learn it.
Right.
And so like the concept I was trying to teach you on the first week of school or second week of school, you don't get it. But then by the end of the semester, you figured out my style. I figured out your style and I can get it to you. And you finally figure it out. But it's too late in the year. I can't go back and change your grade like that.
Mm-hmm. And that's back to like what we were talking about just a minute ago with the measuring of something, because the colleges and whatever, they want to know, this one has a 3.4 and this one has a 3.8. So now we know this one's better than that one, which means absolutely nothing. If we could give, and Tudisco and I talked about this in our podcast where we were discussing should you give effort or not with grades. If we could literally write a paragraph about this kid, it could be very descriptive, and then they could get an idea for that kid. Oh, okay, this kid is pretty good at math, but they're also really good at helping other people. Or this kid is really good at math, but they suck at working with other people, and they don't have much of a work ethic, and they don't really care about this and the other thing. Or this kid is like struggles, but they struggle so much, and then whatever you give them to do, they will find a way to figure it out eventually. And all those kind of characteristics that a B or a C or a B plus says nothing about. So I think that can relieve some of that stress on that.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't have a perfect system for that. That's why I don't speak up yet.
Right.
I've been adorned with that wisdom because I understand why they have all this stuff.
Yeah, because
there's so many people trying to apply to school. You got to weed it out somehow.
Right. If Chattanooga, Tennessee, or Kalamazoo, Michigan decides this is what we're going to do, we're going to have all of the teachers. They're going to describe each kid's mastery level and performance at the end of each grade. The colleges would be like, I don't know if we're going to actually take anyone from there. And then the parents would be in an uprising, and it would get shut down before it could even get off the ground, most likely. And that's the biggest challenge.
It would be cool if their grade was somehow on an entire rubric other than just, like, work completion. Like if you break down, like, their kids will turn in every little piece of work and then struggle on the tests. There are kids who won't turn in anything and will ace the tests, and they'll get about the same grade. But, I mean, if you had a rubric to sort of break that down and show those things.
Here's where I'm going to be anti-rubric. The kids will, and Paulk, I can see him right there, because me and Paulk have had this conversation. Paulk, talking about his efficiency. How hard would you work that rubric to just do what you needed to kick the rubric's butt and not actually learn?
I mean, that's pretty much what I did in my AP U.S. history.
If it was a class,
I figured out what she wanted, and that's what I gave her.
Right.
They did the same thing with grades. Like,
right. I really think I'm not saying that it's not a horrible idea to Tudisco, but I'm saying is that there are kids and there are classes in that rubric that we can now game the system, and as opposed to like
they're gaming it now.
They are. And that's why I'm saying the rubric doesn't solve that.
Figure out the easiest way to game any system we put out there. So it doesn't matter what we do. There's no ungameable system, I don't think. It's just, I found that the kids will try harder to get out of doing the work than it actually is to do.
Oh, yeah.
I don't understand that. Like, there's some kids that they've really, really gone way, way, way out of the way to cheat.
Yes.
I thought I was like, you spent like 3 more hours on that than I asked you to spend studying on it.
I met these kids once, and they told me they learned Morse code.
To cheat?
Yes, to cheat.
But that's universal. That's one day they learn it, or however long it took them to learn it, for years of cheating.
I guess so.
Years.
But I'm like,
made the whole movie Parasite way better.
I'm like, you really learn Morse code? And even if you're learning Morse code, one of you still needs to know the answers, you know?
Yes.
Oh, I think it was more like just to prove that they could, to do it, so they felt that they could get one up on, these were like really smart kids who were trying to be one up on the teacher.
That was a goal for us by the end of the summer. We're closing down on the end of the summer, and it's not happening. But I wanted to learn sign language with my kids.
Yeah.
In case we're ever in trouble, like you can't talk or you're taped up or something.
Yes, that's good. Good plan.
Scuba diving.
Yeah.
That's what it's for.
Yeah.
Or at that rock concert that you like so much.
Yes. Yes.
I think when kids put in that extra effort to not do the work, I think it's because that's where they feel ownership. Like if you give them a handout, they don't feel like they own it. Mm-hmm. But if they taught themselves Morse code, like that's their choice. And I think that's why projects are so effective. All right. Mm-hmm. Because if they feel like they can own the work, they feel like it's theirs.
Right.
Because so little is theirs at their age. Do you remember being like 12, 13? Like your brain was working, but you had nothing.
Yes.
And you had just no authority over any part of your life. And so if they have control over one thing, even if it's cheating or even if it's misbehavior, they're going to cling to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I think that's one of the reasons why they push so hard for choice boards and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's like giving them
They work.
Right. Whenever someone makes a rule, that's like the first thing they do is, well, what about this? Is that, I can't wear hats. Well, it's a visor. It's not a hat.
But it's also...
This is a beret. You didn't say no berets. This is
being a teenager I love. Is like you question authority.
Yeah.
That's how we get change in the world. If you don't question it, you don't get change.
Yes. My friend had that bumper sticker on his guitar case.
And I love it. I love the debate on stuff like that. I wish they would debate me on it.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is where I don't know how you guys feel about this. Sometimes I explain the rules to kids, and sometimes I tell them, here's the deal. One kid did one stupid thing one time, and I'm sorry. Now we have a rule. Because one kid did that.
It's like I went on a cross-country trip, and we had a really wonderful time exploring all of the worst restrooms across America.
They're awesome.
And we wound up at one where there was a stall that was closed with a sign on it, right? It was closed by a garbage can in front of it, like holding it shut.
Mm-hmm.
And on the door, it said, bathroom out of order. But then on the garbage can, it said, please don't use garbage can as a toilet.
Nice!
And that's not a proactive sign.
Oh.
Like, you have to know.
Yes.
There's a story that I don't want to hear.
Yes.
Behind that sign.
Oh. The first night I worked in an arcade, as like a little guy giving out change and stuff like that back in the late 80s, someone pooped in the sink. I'm like,
You're so close.
Right. Which...
Got the concept down.
You're in the same room.
I didn't know this was a thing until years later, not the pooping in the sink. And I'm going to Paulk knows everything, by the way. And maybe you do too as well. Do either of you know what an upper decker is?
Yep.
Do you know what it is, Paulk?
I'm going to say yes, but I'm going to let you tell the story.
Okay. And there's actually someone explained to me, and there's a video. And he said my buddy used to do this at parties. He would go to the bathroom. Okay? You take the lid off the tank and you poop in the water that's up there. And then for the next 100 times they flush.
And then you hear Michael Caine saying, some men just want to watch the world burn.
Oh,
that was a college thing.
Yes.
I wouldn't be
baseball guys in college, they're the worst.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
another reason why I never got into sports. The worst thing I would ever do in college is I'd axe bomb people. You guys ever do that?
No. What's axe bomb?
Take, axe
the axe body spray?
Duct tape it. You duct tape it, so that way it just keeps spraying. You roll it into a room and you just hold the door closed. And their whole room smells like a Persian rug for weeks.
There you go. Oh, God.
That's how you get the Lysol bomb now. I just need to duct tape the Lysol thing.
That's it. You just roll it in.
We come back from a party at college one time with a friend of mine. We get back. We're leaving. We're getting back to the dorm room. My friend opens up his pocket like he's going to sell you some stolen watches. And inside his pocket on his jacket, he's like, look. And it's 3 toothbrushes he stole from the party. I'm like, why is that an accomplishment to you?
Got a klepto friend.
What value did you get out of that? He's like, I took 2 toothbrushes. I'm like, yes, and now what are they going to do? And they're going to be like, I can't brush my teeth, and you have nasty toothbrushes.
I take back my comment about wanting ownership. Humans are just awful.
There's no winner in that. There's no winner in that game.
Cul-de-sac. We are monsters.
Right. Who wins that game, right? The guy who lost his toothbrush, the one with the dirty toothbrushes. No winner.
You know who wins? The dental company that made toothbrushes.
I guess so.
They
sold 3 more toothbrushes.
Put more stock in Colgate, that's why.
Oh, my.
So you game the system.
That's how you do it.
Get higher than that 8% investment.
Okay, so we have a little more time here, and we'll see if you can pull these out. So maybe we've already gotten all these, but Paulk, we love more funny stories. We haven't been telling funny stories the whole time. So tell us when you're at a party where you're going to be stealing some toothbrushes, or at a concert and you run into somebody and they go, hey, you're a teacher. crazy stuff must happen in the classroom. What's your go-to, I can't believe this kid said this, did this, I can't believe I said this, did this story?
There's so many of those stories. How do you pick one out?
I don't know.
My first year of teaching was just a bag of those stories.
Nice.
I was lateral entry. I was fresh out of baseball. Like, I was a pretty big dude for me then. I weigh 220 now. I'm 6 feet. I was that, but I was cut. I was filled a different way then.
Yes.
It just slowly starts to sink down.
Yes.
It does. You got a little more slouch now than
you were Batman Begins Christian Bale as opposed to American Hustle Christian Bale.
There you go. Yeah.
Both of those weigh the same.
I'm slowly becoming Dick Cheney Christian Bale. So.
Nice.
But I didn't really have the concept of managing students and things like that. They didn't teach you that lateral entry.
No.
I just was really good at handling college kids that wanted to figure out how to do their math because that stuff was voluntary. You could come to. You weren't forced to be there. And so they threw me in this special program called Back on Track. It was to take 8th graders who had been held back for 2 or more years for behavioral issues and try to get them back on track.
Oh, boy.
They would go from 8th grade to 10th grade in 1 year because you would teach them the 8th grade skills and some 9th grade math skills to get them to Math 1. But they would take 1 PE class as a high school credit. That way, the next year or the next semester, they could take 4 9th grade classes or something and jump to 10th grade. And so they'd have 5 classes or something like that.
How well did this program work?
One super successful person made it all the way to 10th grade. She was a very sweet girl. She changed her life around. So I will say,
for her,
of the 30 that were there, one success story and fully successful. We had, I think, 15 made it to 9th grade.
Okay.
We had a kid kicked out within the first 2 weeks. It was a rough group, really rough. And I was the math, and then we had an English lady, and we were in a shotgun trailer. It was a single wide trailer that you could fit like 3 desks wide, and then you'd be standing right up on the guy in the front row, and you would be writing on the board like right next to him, like, "Hey man, how's it going?"
Sorry, I forgot to bring gum in today.
I would teach.
Somebody stole my toothbrush, so this is just coffee breath.
Yeah, I would teach sideways so that I didn't put my butt in their face.
Nice.
Right up.
Wow.
Because if you spread them out like too wide, you'd have one kid 40 feet down the trailer who couldn't see the board from the angle he was sitting at or something.
So we've got this program to get these kids back on track, but we want to make it as ridiculous as possible.
They were part of the high school, but not.
Yeah.
So me and this other teacher had to stand with them at, like, in the morning time. They would get off the bus or get off the car and come stand with us in a little group. We weren't allowed to go talk to other people. Then we would, once everybody got there and we had to check roll, we'd walk them to our trailers until everybody finished eating breakfast and went to class. And then we had our own breakfast time. We had to walk them to the bathroom so they could go to the bathroom during class time when everybody was not in the hallway.
Wow.
We had to stand there outside the bathrooms with them and then cart them back. And we had our own lunch period. And we had their own separate PE class. Like, there's so many stories going through my head.
So it's like, we want to make sure that when you get to jail that you kind of have some experience. We want you to kind of like feel like you're in jail before you get there.
That's what they kept saying. Like, we feel like we're in jail. And I'm like, well, you're not.
Yeah.
I don't know. There was so many. So we had one break. We were with them the whole entire time they were in school, the entire day, except for 1 hour and a half block where they were in PE. And at first, I was just like, oh, freedom. And I would just go sit in my room and do nothing. But then I started thinking about it. And I was like, they play dodgeball in PE. They play football in PE. I was like, I wonder if they let me do PE with these kids. So, granted, I was a just below minor league pitcher.
Right.
Like, my job was to throw.
Yes.
And so I would go play dodgeball with these kids. The coach was like, absolutely, you can, because he was fed up. He didn't want to teach this class. They made him teach this class. And they didn't listen to him at all. And I told him, I was like, hey, guys, I'm going to go play dodgeball with y'all today. They were like, yeah, let's play dodgeball. They thought they were going to light me up.
Right.
And I was pegging the crap out of these kids. I made one kid's feet come up off the ground.
Nice.
Like, face shotting them. It was that coach. He was dying laughing. He pulled other coaches in. Come watch Paulk light these kids up, man.
Nice.
Leveling these kids.
Did you, now, tell the truth or don't, were there certain kids that you got to take a little frustration out that were more of a troublemaker in your class? You said, I'm making sure this kid,
Came back in with that nice circular red mark.
That wasn't even really the funny part of the story. That was just my lead into the funny part.
Oh, wow.
I was heading to where you were, Meal.
Okay.
There was this one kid. His name was Shuby. It was his nickname. I don't remember his real name because everybody had a street name, and we just called him the street name.
Shuby.
Yeah, Shuby was this kid's name. A little skinny kid, had a mouth on him though. Like he was the smallest kid in class by far, but ran his mouth like nobody's business. Mm-hmm. And we were playing touch football in the gym, and I threw him like just a beautiful pass. Like he was full stride. He was a little quick guy. Full stride went right in between his arms. And I was like, what happened, Shuby? Because he was talking all this smack about how good he was. Mm-hmm. He goes, you didn't throw it hard enough.
Oh, boy.
What?
Here we go, Shuby.
Hard enough. That's
wrong answer.
And so it was so. I was like,
I feel like I'm ahead of you in this story, but go on.
And I was like, all right, everybody, we're going to execute the same play. I'm throwing Shuby the football. And so I was like, let's do it again. We're going to run it again. And so he runs it, and he turns, and he was right in the end zone. I stepped back, threw it as hard as I could. The most beautiful spiral I've ever thrown in my life. He raised his hand, and they got about halfway up, square in the chest. It hit him so hard in the chest with this football. Leveled him. Oh, my God. And I was like, not hard enough?
Nice.
He didn't have time to react. I bet I threw an 80-mile-an-hour football.
Woo, boy.
Straight lasered.
How long before he could breathe?
He jumped up as fast as he could. It's like, oh, okay. But
all right.
Like, it was like you could tell he was trying hard not, like his lip was quivering a little bit.
Oh!
I could have got fired, I'm sure, but it was worth it.
And how did the other young boys and girls, what was their reaction?
Oh, it was imagine Chris Tucker from Friday and Debo. It was just pretty much like that. He got all up in his face. It was the best.
Oh
I still like if I'm having a rough day, that's like in my repertoire of make me smile again.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff. And then you have that like the rest of the year, right?
Yeah.
You know?
Man, I did. There's so many stories. We had this one kid who started doing drugs really bad. I swear he was doing acid when he was in my classroom one day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the middle of a lesson. I don't even know what I was teaching at this point. I think we stopped lesson that day. And he jumps up and he goes, I got him! And then he just like starts running around the classroom, grabs a fire extinguisher, sprays himself in the face.
Oh my God!
Dives out the window and runs into the woods.
Oh, wow. That's...
I'm like, what just happened? This all happened in like 30 seconds. I didn't even react. I'm like, and you carry the two, and then, whoa, what just happened? There's like fire extinguisher smoke everywhere, and he's out the window. And I'm like, so back to carrying the two.
Because what do you do then?
Do I call the custodians?
I was like, I don't know what just happened. This is my first year of teaching. I was like, this is what teaching's like? I don't remember this when I was in school.
Oh, my goodness.
I must have been sick that day. Like,
so, because, and you know, on Professionals, we love to talk about teenage drug abuse here because it's hysterical. This kid, And I mean, this kid was barely ever came to school. And so, so I have no idea what he's on. And so we have kids come, we've talked about this in the past, where like, you suspect, you're not sure, and you always have to make the decision, am I going to call security? Is it enough messed up to where I would get in trouble if I don't call security, basically?
Because if they don't have drugs on them, there's not really much you can do.
Right. They say, I'm not high, I don't know what he's talking about.
Prove that they're intoxicated.
Right, yeah. So, this kid, he comes in, he's kind of like slumped in the seat, and, he's looking not good. And so, finally, he says to me, can I go to the bathroom? And I go, sure. And this doesn't work really well for the podcast, but he takes one swipe at the doorknob and he just misses it by about a foot. And then he reaches for the doorknob again and he misses it again by about a foot.
Swatting for a
and
laser.
I wish I had said it out loud, because in my head, I'm just like, it's the one in the middle.
The one in the middle. God.
You're seeing 3 doorknobs. Go for the one in the middle, guys. That's what you do. He tried the other 2. Oh, all right. So you've wasted another hour of your time on professionals. I'm sure you've learned something you can apply in the classroom today. We really, really appreciate you coming on, Paulk. It's all that we thought it would be. Is there anything else you wanted to? Well, it's great to see you. We love you. We love you.
It's great to see anybody at this point.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Humans.
I just love what you guys are doing, man.
Oh.
It's fun for me just to listen to other people talk about it. Good stuff.
And that's what we want. We know these conversations are taking place, and we would have this
conversation. All we want
conversation.
to do is profit off of them.
Right.
Yeah.
We would literally have this conversation a million other times, on after school one day, or all the time. We said we should be recording this stuff because other people should hear this, and that's what we hope we are getting here. So we just want to say thank you guys for listening, and thank Paulk for coming here, and stay unprofessional.
Thank you so much for listening to us catch up with our good friend Paulk. Next week, our guest is Sarah Mullins. She is quite brilliant, quite talented, and quite British. She tells us about writing a book and shares some wonderful teaching stories and tells us about teacher training in England. So, here's We'll Taste the Future with Sarah Mullins.
So as a newly qualified teacher, you'd have a lower teaching timetable. So you'd have about 90% of the timetable.
Okay.
And that just gives you a little bit more time to hone your craft and learn from other people as well. You also get great support from your schools where you're given time to go out on courses or to learn from other people as well. So it's about giving new teachers the training and support they need to, become really confident and well skilled in the classroom.
But I don't understand. So when did the teachers feel like they're drowning and cry themselves to sleep?
Oh, I think behind closed doors, probably most of us do. And that's why places like Twitter are so good, because people can reach out to other people and, have a critical friend or a study buddy that they can offload to.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. It's honestly a really nice feeling when you're a new teacher and you realize, oh, okay, everybody's struggling.
Yes.
At least we're all drowning together.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. And this is, I don't know if you're the same sort of, when I was studying anyway, things like well-being or mental health and workload were not in our vocabulary whatsoever. It was, this is your job. And if you're struggling, work harder, work longer,
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I've, there's a phrase I use a lot. I learned actually when I was working in construction, when we were asked to do extra things and extra things and extra things. The phrase is, don't worry about the mule, just load the wagon. And that seems to be like a philosophy of people who are in supervisory roles, they
Keep loading it on.
Just keep loading on. I mean, don't worry about the mule. Just load the wagon. And if the mule gives out, there'll be another mule. We'll just hook them up to the wagon.
Yeah. But I do think it's getting better now. I think people are starting to talk more, share more. And I think especially in England, people are starting to realise, actually, if we're doing something that doesn't have a direct impact on the children, is there really any point doing it?
Right.
And just, so I think that's quite good that there's conversations are happening and movements are starting to happen.
Yeah,
awesome.
I agree. I do think teachers are starting to also realize and say to each other, hey, it's okay. Tomorrow, your lesson can be medium. You don't have to have a rock star, unbelievably fantastic lesson every single day and then end up, Tudisco said, crying in a puddle somewhere and being horrible for the next 3 weeks because you're just, pace yourself. Just you want to do a really good job and you want to give the students what they need, but you also know that you're a human being and you only have so much energy and time you can have.
Do you ever find as well that you would do a lesson and you'd be observed, so somebody from senior would be watching your lesson and you'd be pulling out all the stops, jumping around the classroom, all these different resources everywhere. And yes, it would be a great lesson. They'd write great things about you. But actually, when they left and you went back down to doing your normal teaching, that's when the kids were learning more, actually.
Yes.
And sometimes you realise if you could be observed and judged on your long-term impact that you've had on those children,
yes.
Some of my best lessons have been all singing and dancing, but some of them have been when I've sat there and just had a conversation with the children and then they've written an essay about it.
Yep.
Going back to what you were saying about the mule and the cart, and I think now that, many of us, around the world are stuck at home, I think people are starting to really reflect globally about all of the things that we put on schools to do for our society. How schools are the place where we feed our poor children, how schools are the place where we deal with mental health issues. Schools are the place where we deal with behavioral issues and education and all of the rest.
Right.
I think people are starting to really weigh out all the things in the cart at the moment.
Yeah. I was going to say, but kind of back to what Sarah had said as well. I can't remember the details of it, but I had this lesson planned. And I had, this activity and this fun thing, and the kids were going to move around, and there was going to be somehow there were colors involved. I don't remember what.
And whistles.
I mean, bells, whistles, dogs, ponies, everything, And so, I present this to the guy on my team. I go, look at this, and here's the thing, and here's the sheet that they're going to work on, and here's what I'm going to do, and here's some video thing, and blah, blah, blah. And he looks at it and he goes, that is really, really good stuff. But what we need them to learn is da 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 da. Do you think they'll really learn this by doing all of that? And I'm like, you ruined it. It was going to be a lot of fun, and now I know that it's not really good.
It's so true.
It is. It's there's going to be fireworks. Fireworks. Wouldn't a lesson with fireworks be awesome? Yes, but you want them to learn Pythagorean theorem. Why is the fireworks going to help them learn Pythagorean theorem? I don't think it will. But I don't care. There'll be fireworks. Remember when they leave, they'll tell their parents they had fireworks at school. Yes, but they won't learn what we're trying to get them to learn. And so we get caught up in it sometimes, but anyway.
That's it. And the hours that we spend as teachers making these lessons and the resources for maybe a 5-minute task in the classroom. And I think we're really starting to have these conversations now, and it's having an impact.
Yes. I've been sewing this costume of George Washington from hand. I grew the stuff. I've got a sheep and I sheared it and I made my own sweater so it would be authentic. And so when I walk in, they'll see what George Washington really wore. So I spent the past
and that'll get us through the do now. And it's also all the new technologies we learn. Oh, I spent weeks practicing and learning and figuring out this program so I could do this lesson and this sort of new online program. And then a week later, there's a new program out that completely negates all of your hard work. Yep.
So true.
All right. So, Sarah, I got another question for you. So, you put together a book. Which is very, as an English teacher, that's very, very impressive. So, like, what was that process like, and how fun / obnoxious, like, was it? Like, what was sort of the process for all of that?
Well, it started off, it was just going to be my book. And it was just all the things that I sort of learned on my journey that weren't taught as part of the course, because they couldn't possibly have been. The things like